Did Elvis really fire Colonel Parker when he was on stage? Did Elvis ever hang out with B.B. King, Little Richard, or Sister Rosetta Tharpe? Was Elvis' relationship with Priscilla portrayed accurately? Was Jerry Schilling really Elvis's best friend? Did the Russwood Park concert really break out in a riot? Hi, I'm Trina Young, author of the new book, Fact versus Fiction in the 2022 Elvis movie. What's true and not true in the 2022 Elvis movie? Let's find out. Did Elvis fire Colonel Parker on stage when he was performing in Las Vegas? No, that is not true. This scene was based on a real life incident that occurred in September 1973 when Elvis complained on stage about the hotel's management for firing one of their employees that Elvis was fond of. Colonel Parker did not like Elvis saying negative things about the Las Vegas Hilton, which had changed its name from the International in 1971, while he was on stage, so he confronted Elvis after the show. This led to an argument between Elvis and the Colonel, which escalated until Presley proclaimed that the Colonel was fired. Some of the members of Elvis's entourage witnessed parts of the argument. However, this took place in private. Elvis would have never fired the Colonel in public, especially on stage in the middle of his show. Did Elvis ever hang out with B.B. King, Little Richard, or Sister Rosetta Tharpe? The Beale Street scenes and nightclub scenes were recreated so well in the movie. Of course, it was a great musical moment to see Elvis hanging out with B.B. King as they watched Little Richard perform. But was it true? Unfortunately, no. Elvis was more of an acquaintance of B.B. King's, but not really friends. During the summer of 1956, when this scene takes place, Elvis would not have gone to downtown Beale Street by himself. If he did go, he would have brought a friend or two. While Elvis never met Little Richard or saw him perform, he was a fan of his songs like Tutti Frutti, which Richard performed in the movie. In real life, Elvis recorded Tutti Frutti several months before this scene at Club Handy supposedly took place. It's true that Club Handy was a real club in Memphis located on Beale Street. It was one of the most popular clubs for black artists to perform at during segregation. In real life, Little Richard performed at a similar club in Memphis in April 1956 called Club Ebony. Richard was one of several performers that night, and Fats Domino was top of the bill. The original Club Handy no longer exists. However, a new version of Club Handy is now located on Beale Street, across the street from where the original club was located at 209 Beale Street. Was Elvis's relationship with Priscilla portrayed accurately? Well, there are many issues to discuss about Elvis' relationship with Priscilla as depicted in the film. In my book, I go into detail about the facts presented in each scene in the film, including the scenes involving Priscilla. For starters, a big red flag is how the other women Presley was involved with during his life were left out of the film, with the exception of Dixie Locke. Probably the most misleading image of the film is when we see Elvis singing Viva Las Vegas as he stands next to Priscilla. Anne Margaret, Presley's co-star in the film, who he had a relationship with while he was also involved with Priscilla, is not even shown in the brief montage of Elvis film clips. Overall, the main thing that is misleading about Priscilla in the film is that after their divorce, Elvis was unable to move on. This is suggested by the last scene before Elvis dies in the film. Elvis meets with Priscilla one last time. This scene tries to compress the last 3 years of Presley's life into one scene. However, it leaves out the last 2 significant relationships Elvis had, with Linda Thompson from 1972 to 1976 and Ginger Alden, who he was engaged to be married at the time of his death in 1977. Was Jerry Schilling really Elvis's best friend? Although Jerry Schilling is singled out in the film to represent Presley's entourage, he did not start working for Elvis until 1964. Jerry, who is 7 years younger than Elvis, stopped working for him full-time in 1967 when he decided to move to California. He stayed friends with Elvis and assisted him several times over the years. He then came back to work for Elvis in 1971. In real life, Jerry was not involved in one of the key parts of the Elvis movie, which was the 1968 comeback special. He was not working for Elvis at the time, so all those scenes of him at the meeting for the special and the taping of the special are misleading. If anyone was Elvis's right-hand man through the years, it was Joe Esposito. Did the Russwood Park concert really break out in a riot? No, the Russwood Park concert on July 4th, 1956 was not as dramatic as portrayed in the film. For starters, while Elvis performing Trouble at the show was a great dramatic scene and statement, in reality he did not sing that song at the concert. Elvis would not record the song until 2 years later for his film King Creole, where he sang the song on screen. He also performed it on his 1968 comeback TV special. While the young girls went crazy for Elvis at this show, there was no violence as depicted. The most bothersome part of the scene is when police officers are seen beating on audience members with batons. Then you see a fake headline stating, quote, "Youths clash with police," unquote. While many rock and roll concerts did turn into riots in those days, especially in Europe, that wasn't the case at Elvis concerts. The narrative in the film is misleading that Parker would pull Elvis off the stage because he didn't like how he was performing or that Elvis defied him, which is not true. In 2 hours and 39 minutes, the Elvis movie covered so many details and controversies about Elvis Presley's life and career. I wrote my book because I wanted to clear up any misconceptions that people may have about Elvis from the story that was presented in the movie. There's so much more to discuss about the Elvis movie. You can read many more details in the 200 pages of my book. It's available in paperback and ebook format on Amazon in 15 countries. Read a free excerpt of my book at elvisbiography.net. Thanks for watching. If you have more questions about the Elvis movie, please write them in the comments below. I hope you liked this video. Please subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of my future videos. And be sure to watch this video next.